towards northeast of India. They go to a place called Pragya Jyotishapura. Pragya Jyotishapura, something like that. I don't know what it is called nowadays in Assam. So there's a king by name Narakasura. Now Narakasura had a horrible reputation. He would kidnap the beautiful princesses from any part of the world and keep them captive in the hope that someday he would marry them. And over the years, he had accumulated in his prison about 16,000 princes from different parts of the world, all of whom he had held captive. And he had threatened that he would marry them or whatever. So these princes also were resisting to the best of their capacities, hence that he had thrown them into the prison. So Satyabhama and Krishna go there, and in that battle that ensues, they kill Narakasura. Hence this Chaturdashi is named after him. It's called Naraka Chaturdashi. It's like the first day of the entire Diwali festival. So Narakasura having been killed by Krishna and Satyabhama, they have a big task on hand. What do we do with these 16,000 princesses held captive by Narakasura for many, many days or months, or some of them maybe even for many years? And so there's a huge social dilemma, because these princes will then turn to Krishna and say, you saved us from Narakasura, from being forcibly married to Narakasura, or becoming forcibly being converted into consorts of Narakasura. But please understand that we have a problem here, in the sense that we have been kidnapped and forcibly retained in the house of another man, and for an extended period of time. And so in our kingdom, we have been rejected. We are no longer accepted as worthy women who be married. So we don't know what you did kill Narakasura, but what about us? What are you going to do with us? We can't go back to our kingdom. The society won't accept us. We can't get married again easily, because we were in the custody of another man for extended periods of time. So what about us? So then it is said that out of respect for their secret wishes to have Krishna as their husband, Krishna actually tells them, all right, you are all damsels in distress, to use a very cliched terminology. So he says, this is what happens in the world all the time. All people in distress turn to me, come to me, and I expect I'll fix their problems for them. And that's what I've been doing from time immemorial, fixing problems of my devotees, my dearest devotees. And this is what I like to do. So Krishna says, all right, you all become my wives. So what if the society rejects you? I have enough place in my heart, and I have enough place in Dwarka. I'll make a palace for each one of you, and you can all come there and live with me as my wives. So that is the story of liberation of 16,000 wives today. I mean, 16,000 princesses. And then Krishna gets married to them, and they become women, become wives, or they become queens of Dwarka. So we all constantly refer to the queens of Dwarka. There were 16,108. 16,000 of them came from the prison house of Narakasura. So today it is known as Naraka Chaturdashi, but it's a glorious celebration that Krishna will stop at nothing to please his devotees, even if it meant having to take care of 16,000 queens, even if it meant having to accept them and make palaces for them and keep them happy. Krishna, in fact, the entire universe belongs to Krishna. We can say not just 16,000. If a need warrants itself, if there is a need, Krishna can take care of the entire universe. By the way, he's the one who's taking care. But because they were very favorably disposed towards Krishna in a very loving, affectionate, conjugal manner, Krishna honored them by accepting them as queens. So that is the story of Naraka Chaturdashi today. So it is celebrated as a day of liberation for these women. not only liberation, but a day of, shall I say, achievement also. Not only were they liberated, but or a day of reward, you could say. But they were rewarded for the devotion that they showed to Krishna by becoming queens. But we can trace it back that probably all of them were the sages of Dandakaranya, who had this secret prayer. Not just secret, they even mentioned to Lord Rama that we'd like to serve you in some other capacity in one lifetime at some time as your wife, serve you in that capacity. Lord Rama said, no, not in this avatar, later on. So that's how the Lord lived up to his promise to the sages of Dandakaranya also. Maybe some of them were from there who became the queens of Dwarka. So maybe some of them even became the gopis. I'm not so sure how that plays out, but more or less, this is what is being mentioned about. So that's about Naraka Chaturdashi, and we celebrate this event by remembering Krishna's magnanimous gesture towards the princess held as captive in Narakasura's prison. So that is the background of Naraka Chaturdashi. Now, we come back to our main topic. I didn't verify yesterday because I didn't come. I thought maybe somebody else would have dealt with that topic. So honestly, today I prepared for the other topic, which is, I had prepared yesterday also. The topic was that Sita undergoing the fire ordeal. I'm not, maybe Shamkun Prabhu should tell me what I should speak on. Is he there?
No, Prabhu, I do not see Sham.
Okay, then somebody else should tell me what I should speak on.
You
Because
can.
me, 3 days allotted to me, I had no intentions of, because if I speak, then there's a third topic also. So I don't know what to speak on.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, yeah.
Prabhu, we didn't have any on any topic. There was a youth video, we kind of played it for a little while. After that, we closed the session.
Oh, I see.
There wasn't any continuation of your topic.
Okay, somebody has written that Hanuman search for Mother Sita. All right, so Hanuman's search for Mother Sita is a very Hanuman's search for Mother Sita is actually a personal victory of Hanuman in many sense of the term. Hanuman overcomes his doubt, his apprehensions while standing on the shore of the ocean. It also showcases Hanuman's determination to pursue the instructions of Lord Rama and his master Sugriva under all circumstances. And it also shows that when someone takes risk for Krishna, learns devotional service, risk for Krishna or Guru, how they are rewarded and how actually everybody comes to their help. And like in Hanuman's case, all the devatas came forward, etc. And then Hanuman, when he takes off in the air in search of, we saw that story, how Mainaka comes forward to honor him. But now the next part of the story is after Hanuman lands on Lanka. Now he commences his search for Mother Sita. So there, as soon as he lands, he encounters Lanka personified. That means the Devata Rupa of Lanka. There's a hideous-looking Rakshasi who's guarding the borders of Lanka from any unauthorized intruders. She's guarding the borders of Lanka by patrolling the shores of Lanka. So obviously she will stop Hanuman and say, who are you? You look very strange to me. And what are you up to and what brings you here? Hanuman tries to talk to her and tell her that he's on a mission and he should be permitted to go and he wants to search for Mother Sita. But she will say, you can't enter. No unauthorized person can enter into this place. You need to be permitted. I need to understand. I need to check out whether you're welcome here or not. but definitely no intruders can pass by me. She said that I'm here to guard Lanka. Like, I won't let this happen as long as I'm here guarding. You can't go because to me, it doesn't seem like you're a very welcome guest. Then she's very hideous and monstrous looking, Lanka. Then what happens is that when Hanuman tries to bypass her, she stops and she gives a slap. I mean, she whacks Hanuman. Hanuman is stunned by the power of her whack, punch or something. But Hanuman, indifference to her status, Hanuman hesitates to retaliate because he thinks this is a lady. How can I fight a lady? In those days, it was like that. They wouldn't fight a woman. A woman was respected. Woman was worshipable. Woman was meant to be worshipped, not fight. So out of deference to her gender, Hanuman restrains himself. But then he realizes that she's not behaving the way women ought to behave because she punches him. And Hanuman playfully slaps her in a sense that he clenches his feet, but whatever, he just slaps her on her face. He says, hey, listen, don't stop me by force. You can't be doing that. I'm on a mission. You don't even understand whom I'm representing here. I come here as a representative of Lord Rama, Sugriva. I'm on a mission to find Sita and you can't stop me. Nobody can stop me actually. So and the moment he slaps her, she faints. I mean, kind of faints, she falls, rolls off on the ground. And she just can't recover from that playful slap of Hanuman. And then she remembers that she was blessed by, I think, Brahma. She was blessed by Brahma, who said that she will be successful in guarding the borders of Lanka. But a day will come when a monkey, Vanara, monkey, will come and overpower her. And that is the beginning of the end for Lanka. That is the beginning of the end for Lanka. That means that the final chapter of the history of Lanka, in one sense, will be written. It will be the end of Ravana and his tenure. So Brahma would have said, when some Vanara will come and overpower you, please understand that that's the end, beginning of the end for the Ravana dynasty or whatever. So she becomes very, what is the right word? Very anxious, and then, whatever. So she realizes that the end has come. So then Hanuman crosses over that, and then he goes into the city of Lanka, and he's very surprised at seeing the opulence of Lanka. Ravana was expert at stealing, and Ravana was such a fearful, and he used to generate so much fear. Even the very mention of his name would generate fear. So much so that wherever he would go, he would have unopposed victory. Sometimes they say, what is it called? Unopposed victory. Your opponent grunts you a walkover. He doesn't even come forward to fight. He doesn't even turn up to fight. He says, I can't fight you. Just, you just go ahead. I'll also help you. You just go ahead and take what you want from me. But I can't fight you. At least spare my life. So Ravana had that kind of a reputation. The moment Ravana lands on their city or whatever in his Pushpaka Vimana, they used to worship him, greet him, welcome him, and say, please go ahead, tell us what you want, we will give you, but don't fight. Yeah, don't kill us, spare our lives. That's how it used to be. So Ravana picked up the best of the best stuff, things from everywhere in the world, including the most beautiful princesses. He just picked them up at random from whichever kingdom that he raided and brought them all and kept them in Lanka. So Lanka was a treasure house of stolen property from all over the universe. I mean, now the world is accusing Britain of having done that, having stolen property from all the property jewels, crowns and diamonds and gold and everything from whichever country they were ruling. So Ravana did that practically across the whole universe. So it's unbelievably opulent. And then finally Hanuman finds his way, and then he sees that among all the palaces that are there in Lanka, he enters the most opulent one. And then he quickly understands that this must be the palace of Ravana, and is kind of navigating through in search of Sita. Where could Sita be hidden? So he's a monkey, so all kinds of thoughts come into his mind. Is she still alive? What has she done? Has he changed her mind? Has she also been bewildered by this opulence and strength and whatever luxury that Ravana is displaying? And finally, he hides. He becomes very tiny, hides behind some pillar or in a bush, waits for nightfall, and then he enters the palace. Next to Ravana's palace is that of Prahasta, etc. So when he enters Ravana's palace, he's navigating through the entire palace and then finally enters the bedroom. Night bedroom. He enters. He's been waiting for the night. So he enters the bedroom. There he can't believe what he sees. There are hundreds and hundreds of maid servants. You know what do you call them? Maid servants, women, young, beautiful maid servants, many princesses, many women who are like apsaras, who are very bewitchingly beautiful, all over the palace in the night, in many rooms. And it appears to him that all of them are a little drunk on some kind of liquid, on some kind of liquor, some kind of divine liquor. So, and Hanuman enters at a time when they've finished sporting and playing and all that, and they're all sleeping. Hanuman waits for that time. And he sees that there are many women, incredibly beautiful women. And they're sleeping in various postures, some of them holding a veena, some of them holding this, some of them holding that, some of them embracing each other. And out there in the middle of that palace, in one of those massive cots, there's this 10-headed monster sleeping. But actually, it doesn't look so much like a monster. Ravana is also extremely handsome, very handsome, very beautiful, attractive to see, extremely powerful, so strong and very handsome. So he can make out that must be Ravana. Hanuman makes out. But he's thinking like a typical Vanara, who among this is probably Sita? Then he tells himself, no, Sita won't do that. She can't, she won't have surrendered to Ravana so easily. Sita is different. So, but then he's torn between the two things. Is Sita has Sita given up a fight or whatever? And then, or has she not given up? Then he's searching and then he finds another bed, big, massive bed. Unlike that one, that of all the others, this was special. And then he sees one lady who's indescribably beautiful, indescribably, extraordinarily beautiful. Every limb of her body is so perfect. Then he gets a shock. He thinks, is that Sita? And then he realizes that maybe it's not. So in his mind, he's still confused. But that was Mandodari, the principal queen of Ravana. Principal queen of Ravana. So he looks at her and then he's confused. He still can't make out. He thinks that maybe Sita is more beautiful than Mandodari. But he's suspicious. But he in the corner of his mind is that confidence that Sita wouldn't yield. Sita would stay true to her position as the chaste wife of Rama. So he goes through the entire length and breadth and he steps out of the palace, and the next day he's confused. Typically, like Valmiki Ramayana says, he was confused. He doesn't know whether Sita is, he doesn't even know whether Sita is in that city. Is she alive? Has Ravana killed her? Has Ravana eaten her up? Or is she in the palace? Has she given up? Or where is Ravana keeping her hidden? And he's confused. He's terribly confused. So he's praying like any devotee who's confused does. They pray. They pray to Krishna. They pray to Guru. They pray to the Lord. They pray to the previous Acharya. They pray to everybody. When devotees are confused, they keep praying. Of course, primarily to Guru and to Krishna through the Guru, as taught by the Guru. So he's praying and wondering. He doesn't know what to do. So then he goes, it says that he goes around the palace once more and different places, etc. And suddenly he also realizes it's not really a very healthy place for a brahmachari to be in. Step into the bedroom of a king who has so many girlfriends and women and wives and assistants and so on. It's maybe not the best place for a brahmachari to be in the night. But then it's also mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana that Hanuman discovers that, well, what can I do? I have a duty to do. I have to search for Sita. I'm doing this as a part of my duty. And Hanuman also discovers that, to his great surprise, that when he saw these extremely extraordinarily beautiful women, not one lustful idea came up in his mind, not even one, not even a trace of a lusty idea came up in his mind. And then he deeply acknowledged that this is the blessing of Lord Rama, of my gurus, of my previous, whatever, my guru, my well-wisher, Lord Rama, that not even a trace of a lusty idea came in his mind. Hanuman thanks all these great personalities by whose blessing he was so completely protected and his consciousness was so clean and spotless. And then he continues his journey. And suddenly, when he's going up and down the city of Lanka, he spots a cluster of trees. And then he thinks, oh, that's one place I've not been to. That's one place I've not searched. Why don't I search? Actually, Hanuman is, it's a last ditch effort of Hanuman. He's kind of on the verge of giving up, thinking maybe she's not there or whatever. Maybe I should search elsewhere or something like that, on the verge of giving up. And then Hanuman goes to what turns out to be the Ashokavana. I understand that Ashokavana is still there in Lanka. It is still there. It is preserved as a place where Sita was kept in captivity when she was taken by Ravana. And then Hanuman goes there and he goes up and down that forest, that vana. Actually, it's a park. So Hanuman becomes surprised. He says, this is very different from any other parks that I saw in Lanka. It's so much more lush and green. And in that park, he sees a cluster of trees. He sees a cluster of trees. And he's so surprised that these cluster of trees seem to have a golden hue. Golden hue means golden color in their leaves and everything. And they're looking so lustrous and radiant and brilliant, this cluster of trees, as if they're emitting light, soft light, as if there's some kind of a sunshine coming out of them. Hanuman is bewildered. He looks at them from a distance and he thinks, hey, that's something I have to look into more closely. I have to investigate. Who knows, maybe Sita is there. And then as he's approaching nearer, he sees that when the wind blows, the trees and the branches are shaking and they rub against each other. And you know how it is, they make a sound when the wind blows a little fiercely in a forest. And then suddenly the Hanuman realizes that the wind that enters this Ashokavana, this cluster of trees is producing an extremely rhythmic musical sound. Very rhythmic musical sound, like that of bells tingling, tiny bells. I believe in the olden days, women would wear a waistband made of gold, and it would have bells, small bells, tingling bells, which would make a very, very melodious sound. So it created that kind of a sound. It was emitting light. It was so lustrous. It had a golden hue, and it was so pleasant to be under the shade of these trees, and it had a musical sound, obviously. And Hanuman walks, he's hopping from one branch to another branch. And then from a distance, he sees that there's a small temple within that cluster of trees. And in that temple, he spots a lady. He spots a lady. And then Valmiki Ramayana says, how was Sita looking? How did Sita look the first time he saw her? Very, very, what can I say? Intriguing explanation Valmiki gives, very puzzling explanation. She was very charming. At the same time, all her charm was covered. She was very beautiful, but at the same time, all her beauty was covered by dust that had accumulated over her body. She was very radiant, but she also looked like a sun covered by clouds or encircled by clouds. She was very extraordinarily kind, and she looked very kind and merciful and very magnanimous. But at the same time, it also appeared like the stars in a moonless sky. It was not completely manifest, but we could feel that she was like that. And then it also said that you could see determination on her face, but at the same time, we could see anxiety. You could see hope in her face, at the same time, fear in her face. So Hanuman from a distance, actually Valmiki explains all these different things that Hanuman notices when his eyes first fall on Sita. And there's no surprise that that cluster of trees are emitting a golden hue, they're making musical sounds. It's so very different to be under those trees because the supreme goddess of fortune is there. You can imagine how honored the trees are, how that Vana was, just to have the presence of the goddess of fortune there. And they're guarding her and protecting her. And they're so, wherever you have the goddess of fortune or the devotee of the Lord or the devotee, why won't there be mystical display of mystical potencies, inconceivable mystical potencies? Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna, Lakshmi will come walking into your life. Don't look for her separately. And she will stay with you. Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna, you'll be happy, you'll be proud, you'll be relieved, that's the way to live in this world, by chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavatam, doing satsang, hearing katha, worshipping the Lord, and always thinking, how can I serve Guru and Guru's mission? So Hanuman's eyes fall on her, and he thinks, and she is protected on all sides by these Rakshasis, who are also looking extremely hideous. Somebody has one eye, one ear, one arm, one whatever. Very, very grotesque and hideous looking Rakshasis are guarding her from all directions. And Sita Devi seems completely lost, completely oblivious to whatever her surroundings are. Oblivious means she's not aware. She's there, but she's not there. Valmiki Ramayana says, she's there, but she's not there. She's physically there, but just not there. She's lost in thought. And she's looking at you, but she's not looking at you. She's looking at you, but she's looking at you thinking, are you Rama? Are you the Rama that I'm waiting for? You know, she's in every look of hers is a question, is an inquiry. Are you that Rama or are you that Ravana? Are you that Rama or are you that Ravana or are you that Ravana's whatever messenger or who? But primarily it says Sita was looking for Rama. Has he come? Has he come to save me? Has he come? Has he come to free me? Are you Rama? So she's searching for Rama all the time in her eyes. And it is said that her mind was completely absorbed and preoccupied in meditating about Rama, that she was completely unaware of her external surroundings. All these Rakshasis are around her. She doesn't seem to be aware of their presence at all. She's completely in a different world, her world of bhakti for Rama. Her world of bhakti and dedication and meditation on Lord Rama. She's the most perfect, chaste wife in the universe. She's the goddess of fortune. She's sitting there and waiting, and sometimes doubtful. Not doubtful whether Rama will come for her, try to rescue her, but doubtful whether Rama is aware where she is. See, please understand, they're playing the role of human beings. So she's doubtful. And the more Hanuman looking at her, the more Hanuman thinks she must be the Sita. But Hanuman sits on a tree and says, I have to remind myself constantly that I'm a monkey and I'm prone to make hasty decisions, hasty, quick decisions, not so thoughtful decisions. So I have to wait and watch. Let me ascertain whether she's Sita or not. How do I ascertain? So Hanuman says, okay, let me just become so small in size and watch her from a distance, from maybe hopping and just staying in some bush near the tree or on the tree itself. That tree is called Shimshapa tree. Shimshapa tree. I don't know what the tree means, but that's the name of the species. It's called the Shimshapa tree. Hanuman hops and goes closer to her, and he's watching her. And she's there, covered with dirt and dust, and they used to wear a single plate. Those days, single plate means shoka. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. This was meant for a different yuga, so I'm not commenting on how women dress. Single plate, that yuga meant she was in shoka. Valmiki Ramayana specifically mentions that. Actually, many cultural aspects of life are brought out so extraordinarily well by Valmiki in his Ramayana. Culture, bhakti, respect, different things, varnashrama, all those things are brought out in the course of narration of Valmiki Ramayana. So he's looking at a distance. He says, I'm a monkey and I should be cautious. I should be very careful. I should ascertain. And he's waiting. And he's watching her. She's just, occasionally tears are coming out of her eyes. And she's sighing deeply. And aimlessly, blankly, she's looking around. And Hanuman thinks that, yeah, maybe she's searching for Rama, waiting for Rama. That's what. And why would she be guarded there by all these Rakshasis if she were not something very valuable and precious? So Hanuman decides to sit and wait. And the next morning, as the day breaks, Hanuman is able to take a closer look at her and observes that she's extraordinarily graceful, beautiful, very, very motherly, very, very gentle, etc. He sees some extraordinary qualities in her. So Hanuman is just transfixed on gazing at her, and he's waiting and making calculations in his mind. What should I do? Should I go in front of her? Should I introduce myself? If so, how should I do it, etc. So this is also the mood of a disciple when he's given an assignment by the Guru. He's careful, he's conscious, he's very particular, he's very meticulous, he's very thoughtful, he's very grave. Because it's the Guru's mission. I mean, Guru's mission is Guru or my authority's mission. It's not to be taken lightly. That's what we are. How we discharge our Guru's instruction is what we are. We are not a corporate, right? We're not an IT person. We're not this, we're not that, we're not this, we're nothing of that. We're nothing. We are how we are. Our real personality is measured in terms of how seriously we take our Guru's instructions. And then as the morning sets in, he sees Ravana walking up with so many of his wives and women and maid servants, etc., walking up to where Sita is staying. Ravana comes there and he looks at Sita. And as soon as Sita recognizes that Ravana is coming up, she curls up. She curls up and folds her hand like this and tries to conceal her body more completely. And become very, very fear-stricken, full of anxiety and fear. Ravana comes up to her and then starts making inquiries about her with this maid servants that he has kept there. And then he comes close in front of her and stands there and says, "My dear Sita, how are you today?" Like that. So Ravana puts up his best of his behavior. He's not the demon, he's not the Rakshasa, he's not the terrorist, he's not the person whose very name evokes fear and anger and terror in the hearts. He's very different. He's actually trying to seduce, he's actually trying to impress Mother Sita. So he's saying, "What are you doing today? Is everything okay? Are they taking care of you well? Are you happy? Should I take you around a tour of Lanka once again, and so you can see how opulent and rich I am, how incomparably rich I am? Should I tell you from which part of the universe I brought all these things, the Pushpaka Vimana, this one, that one, the gold, the sapphire, the diamonds, and different things that Ravana picks up from different. I mean, it was like he could go anywhere in the universe, pick up whatever he wanted, nobody would send him a bill. And he wouldn't have to Google Pay or anything. He just picks up what he wants. That's it. No bill, no GST, no Google Pay, nothing. And they would probably gift wrap it and give it to him. That was the power of Ravana. He was intoxicated by his power, but helplessly in love, or whatever, lusty feelings towards Mother Sita. And he was trying to impress. And then Sita Devi is trying to hear. Well, actually, she doesn't hear. And then Ravana then starts talking about Lord Rama. Ravana says, "And what about your husband? Where is he now? Under which tree, in which forest is he roaming? And what is he having for breakfast today, or lunch, or dinner? Under which tree, which house is he going to and beg for food? He's living like a mendicant. He has neither family, nor kingdom, nor wealth, nor anything, nor self-respect. His own family has rejected it. His people have given up on him. He's just helpless beggar, mendicant roaming around in the forest, trying to beg and eat just to survive. What kind of life is that compared to that of mine? What kind of life is that? And then he goes on for some time like that. As soon as he starts talking about Lord Rama, there'll be a change in expression in Sita's face. She starts becoming angry and more angry and more angry and more firm. And finally, she cuts him down. She says, stop talking about Rama like that. You coward. You're not even a man. You're a coward. How dare you call yourself a man, much less a king? You're less than the lowest creatures in this universe. Ravana is shocked. He says, what happened? Then she explains to him why she said that. You had to play a trick to separate Lord Rama from me and play a trick to separate Lakshmana from me. And you came like a coward, like a snake, like a wolf. Came and then you forcibly kidnapped me in their absence. If you were so much of a man, at least a man, you would have had the courage to come and stand for me. Even to this day, you're afraid to stand in front of my master. Why, if what you're saying is true, why can't you go to that same forest, you know where he is, and fight with him like a man does? Confront him. You're a thief. You're a coward. You're a big fat ego that's being fed by all your sycophants here. She'll give up. What can I say? She'll just blast him. Ravana is shocked that he's being humiliated in front of his own wives and women and this and that. So he'll be shocked. And by the time she finishes, she's shaking with anger and pride. It is, don't ever talk about him. You can't even measure up to one grain on his lotus feet, one grain of dust on his lotus feet. How dare you talk about him? Ravana is so surprised. And Ravana again tries. My dear Sita, you know what? This is this fierceness, this fierce quality that you have that makes you even more beautiful, that makes you even more attractive, that makes me even more crazy about you. And he again speaks, though he's shocked and he can't believe, but he's scared to offend her because he loves her. He's scared that she will reject him. So again, he tries to sweet talk, and then again Sita attacks him. And he says all that, and then he says, look, I am this, Rama is nothing. What will you gain by being with Rama? You also want to go in the forest? Forest is not meant for a girl, for a woman like you. That's not meant for someone like you. Then the story goes. So there, sitting on top of the tree, Hanuman is relieved. Hiding there, Hanuman is very, very relieved. He says, why this tug of war, tug of word, or whatever war of words is going on between Sita and Ravana down below. Hanuman thanks his Lord. He says, the mission of the goal of my mission, or whatever mission of this journey has now been achieved. I have found Sita. So Hanuman is very, very relieved. He's very pleased. And then he's watching in great fascination how Sita is so stoutly, so strongly defending Rama. Word for word, she's defending Lord Rama. And and then it says that halfway through talking, Sita Devi actually turns her back on Ravana. She's looking at him for some time. She says, you're so disgusting. You're like a vile wretch. that you don't even deserve to be looked upon, and she turns and she speaks to Ravana, showing her back. So it's like showing back means it's a very disrespectful gesture, especially coming from a woman to a man. Very disrespectful. She turns up and turns her back towards him and speaks. Ravana is shell shocked. She says, you don't deserve. You don't deserve even to mention the name of my Lord. What do you know about him? Like that. So Hanuman is thinking, he's already meditating. How soon can I go back and convey this news to Lord Rama? How happy he will be, how relieved he will be. His anxiety, Lord Chaitanya has an anxiety that preaching has to expand unlimitedly. Unlimitedly. Srila Prabhupada had that anxiety. All our acharyas and gurus have that anxiety. We should also try to relieve that anxiety. Do whatever we can. So we are heading towards the last 15 days of Kartik. Once again, I'm making an appeal that each one of you bring one new candidate, please. It'd be so nice, but by the end of Kartik, we have 500 people attending this program. 500. Each one of you bring just one new candidate every day to this program. Please try. I'd like to see the strength increase. Make their life blissful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak about the glories of Lord Rama and Mother Sita, as explained by Acharyas. So, any questions?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Who's this? Rita.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Any comments? Anything?
Prabhuji, I had a question associated with when Mataji Sita she was kind of accepted by the earth, like when she that is related to Uttarakhand. So, Prabhuji, if you can shed some light on that, because
That's the next topic I'll be speaking on.
okay.
The Pariksha of Sita Mata.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for a very nice session. Thank you.
Once again, I'm requesting each one of you, please remember the anxiety of Lord Rama that he wanted Sita to be released. Anxiety of Lord Chaitanya is that more and more people come under the shelter of the Sankirtan movement in Kali Yuga. I'm once again requesting you, please bring at least one new person. How many of you will volunteer to do this? Please. This has to grow. Every one of us has to become a preacher. Every one of us has to learn how to bring more people under the shelter of the Sankirtan movement, Guru Parampara. I told you I'll also do it. I will also do it. I've already done it. I've got at least 7-8 people in. But the last few days, it's been a little hectic. But again, tomorrow, I assure you that I'll bring 3 or 4 new people. I want all of you to try and bring one new person. Learn the art of preaching. Krishna will be happy. He will reward you. Shibani, yes, you have a question. Hare Krishna. Shibani? Thank you, Shibani Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu,
Yes,
I just
Mataji,
want to know the time duration. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, what is it? What is your question?
My question is, how many days Sita had to stay in the captivation of Ravana? What was the period from the kidnapping date to he stayed?
I think Sita Devi was under captivity for about a year.
Then, Prabhu, that 9-day Navaratri, like there's a Parayan happens, no? Does it have any relevance to this whole period because then Diwali day Rama comes back with the victory. That's how he gets welcomed.
Yeah.
Then there is a 9-day line.
Vijayadashmi is the day.
There with that 9 days.
Vijayadashmi day is the day on which Lord Rama kills Ravana, Ayodhya he returns on Diwali day.
Okay, so
Vijayadashami,
between Vijayadashami to traveling time.
something like that you can say. He re-enters Ayodhya on Diwali day. Or rather, the day he re-enters Ayodhya is celebrated as Diwali.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
And where is that data relevant?
Where is that?
So there is one people do something like that. I know. That 9-day thing, Prabhu.
Mati, your voice is breaking. Can you just type out your question?
I will, Prabhu, surely. Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bhavat pranams.
Dandavat Prabhu, yes.
Prabhuji, I have one, like you mentioning that Ravana was given everything with any rivalry, right? So, peaceful. So, like, why he did, if he believed that he was powerful, why he did not fight Lord Rama and Lakshmana? He had to secretly play a trick to Sita Mataji.
Well, you see, when Shurpanaka explains about Lord Rama to Ravana and also explains about Sita, she warns Ravana that Rama is not he is extraordinarily powerful. You better be careful when you deal with him and deal with him very cleverly. I'm not sure what will happen if you directly confront him. Shurpanaka says that. He's very powerful. He could decimate 14,000 mighty, powerful Rakshasas in just few moments in Janasthana, in the battle of Janasthana. Karadushana, Trishira, they were also annihilated. They were all, I think there was cousins or whatever of Ravana. They're his family members. They were very powerful, as powerful as any of the big giants in Ravana's army. Lord Rama single-handedly decimated them, destroyed the whole army. So she warns him, saying, be careful dealing with him. So Ravana was careful. That's why he uses Maricha to come in the form of a deer. Okay. So he was aware that he was not dealing with an ordinary adversary.
Okay.
A powerful adversary. Very, very powerful adversary. Okay. Good question.
Thank
Any
you.
other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I have one question. So it's like when Hanuman came to meet Sita. So one of the thought came into my mind, like why didn't Hanuman directly pick up Sita to bring to the Ram, then Ram come back to Lanka and attack? It will be a more safer to then left the Sita at Lanka and then go back to Ram and tell Ram that Sita is there and then attack. I mean, ultimately, the goal is to kill Ravana, right?
Yeah. So what's your question?
So why didn't Hanuman did that? Is there any explanation about that?
See, this is a very good question. I like this question because you have to understand that the mission on which Lord Rama sent Hanuman was find and report, not find and rescue. Find and report. So that is the boundary within which Hanuman had to operate. And this is the maryada that we have to show to Guru. Guru's words are everything for us. Exactly as per the limit that was given to him by Lord Rama. Hanuman finds, identifies, gets the GPS location in a manner of speaking, and comes back to Lord Rama to report. He doesn't exceed his brief. Very careful. In fact, that is discussed in Valmiki Ramayana. Why Hanuman didn't do that? And it's clarified that that's because that was not his mission. Actually, Hanuman also reflects on it. He says, I am now empowered by the blessings of Lord Rama. I'm on a divine mission. I work for him. I'm serving him. And that's not something ordinary. If I have the blessings of Lord Rama, I can actually punish Ravana, even bind him up and take him to Lord Rama, or even kill him. But Hanuman reminds himself, saying, that's not my instructions. That's not what my instructions were. My instructions were to find Sita Devi, identify, get a GPS location, report back to Rama. And that is what I will do. In fact, he offers to take Sita Devi, and Sita Devi and Hanuman discuss it once again, and both of them decide it would be wrong, because that's not what Lord Rama wanted. So that is the way that's the maryada we have to show to Guru's instructions. And that is the glory of a disciple. But at the same time, Hanuman says that I should also give an introduction to how powerful Lord Rama is. And that's why he enacts the whole pastime of burning down Lanka. That's like leaving behind his visiting card. burns down Lanka and then he goes back. Okay, good question.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's a beautiful explanation.
Yes, any other question? Oh, the Shivani Mataji's question, in answer to that, I can say that to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the Navaratri thing you can connect with Ramayana in any way, to my knowledge, as I haven't read anywhere. But definitely Vijayadashmi is the day on which Lord Rama kills Ravana. That's why they do this Ravan Dahan on Vijayadashmi day. They make a paper effigy of Ravana and burn it down, symbolically saying, so all the 10 evil gunas that we have, qualities that we have, are also burnt out. I don't know all those 10 gunas, but it's there in the scripture. The 10 evil gunas that we have are burnt out. I don't know about how the Navaratri part came. That I think that's more a Devi type of a ritual. But then there's the Ayudha Puja also. Ayudha Puja is the day it's said that the weapons are worshipped. So I'm not so sure how the rest of the legend is. I haven't studied, I haven't investigated. But I doubt if there's any connection between Navaratri and Ramayana as such. Okay.
Prabhuji, what was the next reincarnation of Sita Mata in Dwapar Yuga during Krishna's?
Well, she comes as, well, I cannot say she comes as Radharani. Radharani comes as Lakshmi, as Sita.
Right.
Radha and Krishna are the original divine couple. They take different forms in different yugas. And Radharani has expansions in Dwapar Yuga. She shows 16,108. All these women are not, in one sense, you could say they're expansions of Radharani, millions of gopis, all of them expansions of Radharani.
But Rama was much before Krishna. So,
Me?
Rama avatar was much before Krishna. Krishna,
Well, it's not like that. It's cyclic.
all right.
They're always going on. You know, it's like in a cycle, you cannot say where something begins, where something ends. So after the Satyuga is the Dwapar, Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, and then again Satyuga. So like that. It goes on cycle. You can't say, in one sense, we say Satyuga is the beginning of one cycle. But there are innumerable cycles that are constantly going on, one after another, after another. So strictly speaking, we cannot say that Rama has appeared before Krishna does, so he must be the origin of Krishna. No, we can't say that. Krishna is the person who incarnates in different yugas, in different forms. Same way, Radharani expands and is present as the consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead wherever he goes. Okay?
Yes.
And the Lord is accompanied by his intimate devotees. Just as Lord Chaitanya is accompanied by Lord Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Shivas, and so on. The Lord is also accompanied by his intimate associates. like that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So wishing you all, unless there's no other question, I hope none. So wishing you all a very happy Diwali, very happy festive time. I hope you all utilize this time very gainfully by chanting more, by worshipping more. Never forget that this is Kartik Mass. The more chanting, the more reading, the more vratas that you do for pleasing Guru and Krishna, the more spiritual progress. This month is meant for vrat. Please never forget that. And in addition to all the vrats that you're doing, please do this vrat for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya, of bringing new people to this program. How many of you want to do that? How many of you agree to do that? At least one person can't you bring? One person. It's so nice it would be if we can reach 500 before the end of Kartik. How many of you are willing to take that? Offer it as part of your Kartik Vrat for Lord Chaitanya. I'm willing to do it. I'd definitely like to see the number double, more than double tomorrow. More than double. At least one. If you try, you can bring many more people. It can be your own family member who's want one more login. So number of logins, we should cross 500 before end of Kartik. This is our offering to Prabhupada on his 125th year. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So tomorrow the story is about, can somebody tell me? What are we going to deal with tomorrow? Tomorrow, if things go as per our plan, tomorrow we'll be talking about the Agni Pariksha of Sita Mata. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.